What's up, everybody? Welcome into another Big Man on Campus college basketball preview videos. We get you ready for the 2019-2020 college basketball season. Today, it's a big one. We're talking Big 12. Get you ready here. And as I've done in all these videos, I'm going to give you my favorite. I'm going to give you a sleeper. And I'm going to give you just some other news and notes from a busy conference. But one of the first start out really kind of put into perspective what Kansas was able to do since 2004. Keep in mind, last year was the first time since 2004 that Kansas did not win or tie in the league to cut down that league's nets. That's pretty unbelievable. And, again, 2004 was 15 years ago. I was a freshman in high school. I was like 14. Or 15, I'm sorry. We didn't know what Facebook was. iPhones weren't popular. Who was our president? Was it Bill Clinton still? It was not Bill Clinton. George Bush, I'm sorry. It was wild. It was a way better time, I'll admit, but that's just how dominant this team's been. And, last year was really kind of monumental, but then again, Texas Tech was a pretty damn special team as well, weren't they? This year coming back, though, it's hard to not have the Jayhawks as a favorite, not only in this conference, but I think they're a top 5 team in the country. This team is just sick, really, from the starting 5 on down. Not only do you get Devin Dodson back, who really is a top 12 player in the country, but you get back an absolute just mammoth in Udoka Azubuike. Azubuike was injured seemingly all season last year. And he really is a guy that is so important to this Bill Self offense because they so much utilize shots around the rim. They're one of the better teams in the country at being able to do that. And not only him, but D'Souza, who is luckily back after the ridiculous sanctions, he's back. That is just quite the tandem down low. You look at Dodson, obviously, who's going to command this offense. You bring back Okai Agbaji, who really was kind of that tweener 3 for you, 6'5", kind of do it all, rebounder, defender, can give you the occasional 8-10 points a game. Isaiah Moss was a terrific pickup in the transfer market. He was just a scorer over at Iowa. He's going to give you that nice off-the-ball player for Bill Self. You look at the bench, Marcus Garrett, David McCormick, Mitch Lightfoot. All these guys are going to turn into quite important pieces. And you look at that top 50 freshman, Jalen Wilson, who basically was a Bill Self guy right away after he basically self-told him that he would get minutes for a high-level basketball team. So, it's pretty simple. Look, I don't need to go into the strengths of what Kansas is. Let's just say this. With Dodson and Azubuike back, you add Moss, you have Lightfoot, you have a bench. I think they're as good a starting 5 as anybody in the country. And I think they're a title contender. Look, Texas Tech will be right there. You can't ever count out Chris Beard. You just can't. You bring in a top 30 player in Ramsey. You bring in Holyfield. You bring in Chris Clark. Kyler Edwards. I would have liked to have seen Deshaun Corprew stick around. He ended up leaving the team, which, look, hurts. Everyone needs a Deshaun Corprew on their team. You need that Swiss Army knife that could do all sorts of different things. I still have Texas Tech as a top 10 team, top 12 team. I think they'll be right there because defensively they're that good. Chris Beard just brings the best out of his kids. And Moretti, I think, has the ability this year this should be a special season for him. He's the guy now, really. He's the guy from a team that went to the national title game. And you bring in Clark and Holyfield, who can really give you a ton offensively. If they continue to buy into the defense, they'll be an Elite 8 type of team. It's just that simple. After that is where it gets really interesting because I think everyone just expects Baylor to be there. Again, though, it's can you kind of get through the out of conference schedule? Because look, last year they struggled. You lose outright to Texas Southern as a 25-point favorite. You lose to Stephen F. Austin. Again, that stuff hurts you. And look, obviously, he had some injuries as well. Tristan Clark, who was really the straw that stirred them last year, was injured. You bring in Maseo Teague from UNC Asheville, who is just going to get buckets for you. I don't know, though. Makai Mason was important to them. Are they going to have that same rebounding prowess that they normally do under Scott Drew? I like Baylor, but for me, the Big 12 is kind of a leveled conference. You have you have Kansas, who's kind of up top. Then you have Texas Tech, who's right kind of below them. And then kind of lowers Baylor, and then everybody else. So I like Baylor. I think they're a tournament team, but I don't think they have any chance of winning this conference. The only two teams that can win this conference are Texas Tech and Kansas. It's that simple. So you're asking me, what do I think? Who's a sleeper? Now, you could put this team at 4th, and I think you could put them at 6th or 7th. I'm going to go Oklahoma, though. And look, over the years, I've always had a soft spot for Lon Kruger's team. I just like the way he brings players in. I like the lineups he puts out there. They do play a lot of isolation basketball, which hurts. And I just like what they've done defensively. And I like the makeup of this team. Look, I like Jamal Bieniemy a lot. I think he's a banger down low. I think he can bother a lot of teams. And I think he has intensity that not a lot of guys have. I like Christian Doolittle. I love Brady Manick. I think the player he is really interesting. He's kind of like a Rick Smits, I guess, type of player. He can go out and shoot the ball. He's really good on the perimeter. And he could still bang down low, too. So him and Bieniemy are kind of intriguing because they both do different things. I like Devion Harmon, though. This is a kid that they brought in. He's a freshman. He's a top 50 player. There's a lot of things that he can do that excite you. Question is can Lon Kruger's team not play so isolated, which is kind of what they did under Trae Young. But last year, I love what they did defensively. I thought they were really just awesome to watch. And they're going to be good this year again defensively because you look at all the players that they brought in, and Lon Kruger's goal is to find those guys now, not ones that take possessions off defensively. I also like the add of Austin Reeves, a really good defensive player and a sharpshooter from Wichita State. He's going to be that kind of player that you want to have, that kid that could come off and give you 17, and he can knock down a 3-ball. He's going to defend. Just a do-it-all player, the player that you need to have if you want to contend. I think they're a tournament team. I really do. I think they play together. I think they get away from the isolation basketball. And I like what they can do with different lineups. The spacing can be different. I think the starting 5 is honestly really good, to be real honest with you. It's, can they find a bench? Do they have capable guys? Can Corbin Merritt, can some of these guys off the bench be capable scorers for them? I think the starting 5 is pretty good. It's a question of what do you get outside of that? And like I said, this league is really kind of, after the top 2 or 3 teams, is just kind of a mishigas of teams that have interesting pieces. Obviously Texas is a team that always wants to be included in the talking points. I'm just not sure Shaka Smart's the right guy there. I'm just not. Look, I like Matt Coleman. I like Courtney Ramey. I like Jericho Sims. I like the makeup of what they have, but I guess my question for them is, where does the scoring come from? Keep in mind, this team did win the NIT last year, which is great and all, but like our friends over at Three Man Weave have discussed, that doesn't exactly give you carte blanche to think that you're going to have future success. You look at since 2009, only 3 teams have made the NCAA tournament the next year. So just because you win the NIT doesn't really mean a ton. I guess my question is, look, I've seen this team without, a Mo Bamba or a Jackson Hayes, and again, are they athletic, talented? Yeah. But outside of their really good defense, you got to score at some point. But hey, that doesn't necessarily matter because Michigan did it for years where They weren't necessarily a real talented team offensively, but they at least had pieces. I don't know how many pieces they really have. Look, Matt Coleman to me has kind of been a disappointment, especially where he was drafted, or I'm not drafted, recruited. Plus, the problem with those two is they're not incredibly big either, Coleman and Ramey. Also, I don't know if they have a Jackson Hayes on this team. You know, maybe it's Jace Febres, but he's not exactly a big guy either. A lot of question marks. We'll see what Shaka Smart. You know, we'll see what Luke Yaklich will do. Luke Yaklich, a guy that's going to do good on the, you know, kind of the assistant coach realm. I don't know about Texas. Not real interested. Kansas State, they obviously fall off. I think West Virginia will be better. They actually came on really good and late towards the end of the season last year. TCU will be down. Okie State's just kind of a young team, kind of in over their heads. We'll see if some of their transfers will come in and kind of help. Iowa State's interesting. Halliburton's a real solid player. Can he develop into the next big star there? You bring in Rasir Bolton from Penn State. We'll see if he can get that waiver that he's looking for. I like Prentice Nixon, the Colorado State transfer. Pretty good backcourt if everybody can get healthy and get waiver free. So it's a big question there with them. But for me, look, it's all about Kansas, Texas Tech, and then everybody else. I think Oklahoma can be interesting. The way they defend, I think their starting five is really pretty good, especially if Reeves can give them what we expect them to what he expects them to give. That's where I'm going. Maybe a deep sleeper, West Virginia. I think Jordan McCabe could really become one of the next really good players in this league. So, do I think Kansas will be dethroned? No, I don't. This one was a little long, but again, it's a Big 12. It's a Power 5. It's going to be a little bit longer. I'm the Big Man on Campus. Make sure you check out all my videos here on the channel as we get ready for the season, which is in about 7 days. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.